Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining today's session. You're very welcome to part two of Demystifying Solar Hybrid Solutions from Basic to Business Impact. My name is Chisom Okoye, and I'll be moderating today's discussion, which is proudly hosted by ThinkyHearts. I know it's the middle of a busy weekday for many of us, so I truly appreciate you taking the time out from your busy schedule to join today's session. It promises to be an insightful and engaging session, and we're really glad to have you all here. Part one, we explored the fundamentals, understanding what solar hybrid systems are and why they matter to us. So today we are taking it a step further and looking at how these systems can create business impact, improve operational efficiency, and drive sustainability in real life situations. So I just wanted to give us a little overview about ThinkyHearts and what we do. So ThinkyHearts is a sustainability and learning platform that makes environmental and renewable energy topics easier to understand and apply in daily life. We run projects, webinars, and creative learning labs across schools, homes, and communities, helping people move from awareness to real impact. And our passion is connecting knowledge with action and supporting individuals, families, and organizations to live and work more sustainably. Once again, on behalf of Thinky Hearts, thank you to everyone for being here. And it really means a lot that you're part of this conversation. So now it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Chisom Okoye. Chisom is the Business Development Manager for Solar Hybrid Power at JMG Limited, where she leads strategies that promote solar adoption across both residential and commercial sectors in Nigeria. She brings a wealth of knowledge and experience, combining technical understanding with practical business insights. And she has helped numerous organizations transition to cleaner, more efficient energy systems. It was a wonderful time having her with us in part one, and we're excited to learn from her again today. Chisom, thank you so much for joining us. Over to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the housekeeping and thank you for the wonderful introduction as well. Thank you so much, Thinky Hearts, for having me again. And thank you, everyone who is currently online. I think I said this the first time. Thank you for choosing to spend your lunch hour, your lunch break with us, with me here. We don't take it for granted at all. So thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And if you're here for the part one, a special thank you to you for coming back. I guess that shows that you really did have a good time and you're excited to learn more. All right, so good afternoon again, everyone. And following the beautiful introduction, my name is Chisom Okoye, and I currently work as a business development manager for solar hybrid power systems or solutions at JMG Limited. And we're talking about demystifying solar hybrid solutions. Now, this is part two. I love the introduction that you gave. Although when you started describing what we're going to talk about today, I went back to look at my slides, and it seems like I may have fallen short of the expectation a little bit, but never mind. We will still cover everything that we need to cover today. Okay, and a bit of a disclaimer, like I also mentioned in part one, this is not a technical session. So we're not going to talk about the core engineering aspect of solar hybrid solutions, right? This is more from a business development perspective, and just to let us know how to understand solar solutions, how they work, their impact to you as an individual, and to you as a business owner, to understand the impact to you as a business owner, and how to also make the right decisions when you're choosing those systems or you're choosing those solutions. All right. So I'm just going to go over a quick recap from what we spoke about in part one. We actually spent some time going through some key elements in part one. So we spoke about the basics. So the basics, talks about the types. We ran through different types of solar solutions. We have the daytime, we had the storage, and then we had the hybrid solution, right? So a combination of three of them. We also went about speaking about how to choose the best option for you. So do we go with daytime only? Do I go with storage, or do I go with the one that incorporates, both options together? Do I get the best of both worlds, right? So we discussed how to choose the best option. And then remember, one key thing we said was think strategy and goal. When it comes to solar, especially solar hybrid solutions for your business, even for your homes, you want to think about what you want to achieve. Don't look at solar as just an expense. It's really an investment, right? So think strategy, think future. The next 5 years, the next 3 years, the next 10 years, where do you want your business to be? How much are you looking at saving in terms of power? That will really guide you in making a decision and in making that investment sooner than later. We also looked at common mistakes. Not to worry. The good thing is this webinars and presentations are on the ThinkyHearts YouTube channel. So you can always go back and listen to part one, and then so you can just catch up and get the full gist of what we spoke about. So we spoke about common mistakes, when choosing a solar solution, things to avoid. And then the ripple effect of getting it right. So once you get your design right, once you get your solar solution right, how it affects your business operations. It helps operations. It even gives you like some sort of confidence in the market. No more power delays. You don't have to tell your customer stories or anything like that. No more saying, today NEPA took life for 3 hours. Next tomorrow NEPA took life for 5 hours, or your generator decided to pack up. There are really ripple effects of getting it right. Beyond getting reliable power, it also affects your business. Again, remember, solar is an investment. And then we also spoke about the possibilities with solar. So a mindset shift, how to look at it with the eyes of tomorrow, not just with the eyes of today. And then one of the questions that we got, I think we started talking about that, is about the cost-saving business impact. How exactly can I save costs with this solar? Oh, I have my NEPA today, I have my generator, and I'm telling you, if I add solar, I'll be saving money. How? Wonderful question that we got the last time, and I was able to answer it in the best way I could with the time that we had. But then I would like to kick off today just by really expounding on that one question. How do I save costs? So giving you a pure business case, right? Typically in Nigeria now, most people have two sources of power. You have generator and you have your NEPA, like as you can see on my screen. This is your power lines, signifying NEPA, AEDC, EEDC, wherever you are. You have one form of generator or the other. That's typically the two sources that people have. Now, by the time you do a solar hybrid solution, you will have three sources of power. So you have your grid or your NEPA, you have your generator, and then you have your solar. And so these three things will give you, I have like a money bag here. I have some 1,000 naira notes, and I have a massive dollar sign here. Okay. Now, this is how it works. Just for anyone who probably you weren't there weren't there the last time, and you still want to just understand, how am I really going to save money? I gave a very simple example the last time, and I just want to use that. Now, imagine let's even just use your car. But I think that'll be a perfect way to illustrate it. Imagine your car. So now we have hybrid cars, right? Perfect. So imagine you have a car that you have to buy petrol. You have to put petrol inside your car, right? You have to buy gas, petrol, or even a diesel-powered car, right? Or CNG. And for you to power your car with petrol, let's say you spend 100 naira on putting fuel inside your car in a day. For example, that's what you need in a day. When you're using only petrol or fuel in your car, you spend 100 naira. Now you have a hybrid car, right? Now your car is hybrid. Probably you have petrol and electric together, okay? Now, I'm not telling you that the cost of electric is cheaper than the cost of petrol, okay? Now, with that hybrid car that you have, typically where you would have used 100 naira for 100 kilometers, for example, in one day, now what will happen is, and you're so 100 naira for 100 kilometers, that means you're spending 1 naira per kilometer with your gas or your petrol. Now, with your electric, you're not spending, say, 50 kobo per kilometer, right? So it's half the cost, right? So in a day where you would have driven 100 kilometers with only your petrol or only your diesel or only your CNG, you spend 100 naira. Now you have a hybrid car, okay? So let's assume that's 50-50, it's 50%. So now you drive 50% of the way you drive 50 kilometers, right? With the electric side of the car that costs you 50 kobo, right? And then you drive the remaining 50 kilometers with the petrol or diesel side of the car that costs you 1 naira per kilometer. Now, the last 50 kilometers is 50 naira, right? But then the first 50 kilometers, where you have 50 kobo, is going to cost you 25 naira. Now, 50 naira plus 25 naira is 75 naira. You've driven the same distance, you've used the same car, but now you're spending less than when you would have spent, or than what you would have spent when you had just petrol or just diesel in your car. And that's just the best way to explain this. When you have your grid or generator, there's a fixed cost that you pay, right? It's steady. But now you have the solar, and I'm telling you that, this solar is going to cost you cheaper. Well, in the long term, also as well, than your NEPA and your generator. So by the time you combine everything together, you're going to be saving cost, right? And that's why I have highlighted here in red that adding solar to your energy mix saves you money on your weekly, monthly, and annual energy spend. 3 heads are better than 2. 3 heads are better than 2. We often say 2 heads are better than 1, but in this case, 3 heads are better than 2. Now, into what you should expect from today's session. Today's session is slightly different. It's just to give you an understanding of the different zones we have in Nigeria, and based on your location, what your expectations should be when you want to get a solar solution. So today we're expecting to understand our what we call sun hours, the impact of sun hours, our expectations also to know how to choose the right solar partner and what business owners must know. I chose to put this picture of 2026 because we're getting to a new year. So you may be considering, maybe part of your strategy for the new year for your business is want to cut down on your power costs. You're tired of a generator packing up. You're tired of ADC flickering. It's very unstable. Today the voltage is 220. Next tomorrow the voltage is 85. The day after next the voltage is 165. It can be very confusing and very disrupting of your business, right? So this is our expectation for today. Now, what exactly are sun hours, or what is sun hours? And it's very important to know this when you're deciding to go to get solar, right? Because it helps you understand what you're going to be getting. And it's also helping you know the right questions to ask your solar partner or your solar installer. Now, sun hours, as the name simply implies, is the number of hours you get of the sun, typically in a day. Now, as it relates to solar solutions, right? So it's basically the number of hours per day for optimal solar panel performance, right? Optimal solar panel performance. Remember here that we're talking about a complete solar system. So you have solar panels, you have inverters, you have batteries, a complete system that's just connected to your facility or to your building, right? This also tells us that it is the total usable sunlight available in a day. So how much of the sun you can use in a day to generate power, right? And it's quite should I say pretty straightforward down to see that the higher the peak sun hours, the more solar energy a system can generate, right? And then the smaller or the lesser the lower, the lower the peak sun hours, the solar system cannot generate as much as it would have generated if the sun peak hours are higher. And says here, the smaller the solar array needed for a given energy demand. So what that simply means is, right, the higher the peak sun hours, or the higher the sun hours you get, the less number of panels you need. Solar array simply means the arrangement of the panels. The less number of panels you will need for a given energy demand. We're going to get to that. There's a slide that I just gave like a simple example, right? But what this simply means is, for a place that will have 7 sun hours a day compared to another area that will have 3 sun hours a day, to generate the same amount of energy, for the area with 7 hours, you will need less solar array or less solar panels than the area that has just 3 sun hours. You will need more to get the same amount of energy, right? And it's important to know this because sun hours really vary based on our location, especially in Nigeria. Nigeria is a very peculiar, unique country because, we have 6 geopolitical zones, and the 6 zones, even the northern and the southern parts of Nigeria, each of these zones, they have different climates, right? And it's very important to know this for your business, especially when you're considering solar. Now, so what exactly is sun hours to us here in Nigeria? I put a picture of a hot sun here because I'm currently in Abuja, and my goodness, the past couple of days, I'm literally counting number of hours I spend out in the sun because it is too hot. So this is really like the perfect time to invest in solar right now, like to get the benefits, this dry season, right? So what is sun hours to us here in Nigeria? Nigeria is relatively close to the equator. We're in what we call the tropical zone. So we're in the tropical zone. That means we have much more sunlight. We have just two seasons, dry season and wet season, right? And that also means that with much more sun, there's higher solar potential all year round. Now, for Nigeria, the statistics have it that the average daily sun hours is between 3.5 hours to 7 hours per day, depending on season and location. Somebody in Adamawa, right? Somebody in Adamawa would have more sun hours than somebody in Port Harcourt, right? Throughout the year, and especially during the rainy season. In the rainy season, somebody in Adamawa will have more sun hours than the person in Port Harcourt. So you're a business owner and you have multiple factories across the nation. Let's say you have a factory in Kaduna, you have one in Kano, you have one in Delta State, you have one in Port Harcourt, you have one in Lagos. The same capacity, the same size, right? And you want to put solar solution. I want to let you know that the solar solution you get to be different for all if you want to achieve the same goal, because you have different sun hours and they're in different regions, across the country that have different seasons, across the year. Of course, the dry season months, November to April, thereabouts, generally offers more and higher sun hours than rainy season. Okay. Now I added this. I think it's a fifth point about tilt angle and panel orientation. Just to add a little bit of technicality, even though I know I said this is not going to be such a technical session, right? But then there's beyond the sun hours, there's also a proper way to install your panels, right? Okay, so tilt angle and panel orientation, right? Also influences how much of this radiation or irradiation, like we call it, that you're going to get. We have a Harmattan season, dust accumulation, and then cloud cover, can also affect the number of sun hours you will get. Now, it's so fantastic, right? Like I said, Nigeria is very fantastic. Now, in the southern or southern parts, as some people may call it, the primary challenge would be the rain and the clouds. But then in the northern parts that has more sun hours, one of the major challenges is dust accumulation, because it's more sandy, so you have more dust accumulating and covering the panels. So you see that at the end of the day, even the maintenance for your solution will be different depending on where you're located. Now, just to break it down specifically, just so we see, now sun hours in northern Nigeria, and I've broken it down into two. Sun hours in northern Nigeria and sun hours in southern Nigeria, right? We have the northeast, northwest, and the north central. Now, the northeast, they account for the highest solar radiation, right? When it comes to Nigeria, it has the highest solar radiation, right? So your question will be, what states and the northeast? So you have Borno, Yobe, Bauchi, Adamawa, like I mentioned before. Those are the states in the northeast. They have the highest solar radiation because those are like the hottest parts of Nigeria, right? And typically these places are, we can say they're ideal. You may have challenges of dust, like I mentioned earlier, maybe just the Harmattan season because of the wind, but then there's minimal cloud cover, so the radiation and the irradiation is at the highest even all year round, right? And then the next, we have the northwest, which is Kano, Kaduna, Katsina. They have also very good average peak sun hours. The sun hours in that region is quite consistent all year round. So if you're a business owner, you have a business in northeast or northwest, honestly, if you have not considered solar right now, I would advise that you do, because like we mentioned in the first part, not only is it going to save you costs, the ripple effect of getting that solar right, the ripple effect is going to have on your business, on your business. It's going to give you a global outlook. You can tap into certain benefits that come from installing solar and being part of the businesses, in Nigeria that are contributing to our net zero goal, right? So then you have the North Central. It just follows through, as I'm listening all these regions, the sun hours reduces. I just want to really highlight it so we can have that idea. I don't want to assume that we understand it, right? So North Central, have Abuja, Kogi, Plateau, Niger, Mina, 5 to 6 hours daily in the day. So now what's the daytime? Okay, so what's the average daytime? Is 6 to 6, right? So you want to say 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's what we know as day. And then night is 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Now you see that we following the clock, there are 12 hours, right? 12 hours. But now we are saying that the average peak sun hours in the best part of Nigeria is 7 hours. 7 hours out of 12 hours. So what happens to the remaining 5 hours? Again, this is an average, but then what this also tells us is the full number of hours. As the sun rises in the morning, the radiation or the irradiation, it keeps getting higher and higher. So maybe by like 6 a.m., if the sun is out, you can probably get maybe 5 minutes. By 7 a.m., you get 10 minutes, So it keeps counting, the intensity of the sun. But then if you go throughout the day, and then I think it gets to the highest point, midday, 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m. So by the time you look across the hours of the day and you get the average number of hours, that's where you begin to get 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours. And then you have the sun hours in the southern part of Nigeria, from southwest to southeast to south, right? The part of Nigeria with the least sun hours is the south region. We have heavy rainfall, dense cloud cover. It's rainy, it's cloudy. More times in the year than not. So if you're considering, I'm getting solar for your factory or your business or your home in the south region, you really need to understand this impact. So you don't begin to compare, what you have with what somebody has in Adamawa. So these are things that you need to know, you need to understand when you're looking to get a solar hybrid solution, right? I think I have some points I highlighted here in red. So the northern region enjoys the best solar yield potential, making the region optimal for utility scale solar farms and large commercial solar hybrid solutions because the irradiation is high. Not to say that you can't have this in the southern part, but it's more popular there just to take advantage of the sun that we have. Now, the southern region still benefits, but it requires larger arrays. It requires larger solar panels. It requires larger PV installations, and hybrid backup systems to achieve consistent performance, right? So you probably need a larger storage in the south that you may need in the north, just so you can also benefit from consistent performance. Now, the key takeaway from sun hours, why did I decide to spend time talking about sun hours? I think I already explained, think about it like your fuel, right? Like your fuel. So you know how much fuel you have in your car or how much fuel you have to get from point A to point B. Now the energy output is the peak sun hours and the solar system size. A similar factory with similar qualities, everything, a duplicate factory in Adamawa and Port Harcourt, they will have different solar outputs. Why? The peak sun hours, right? So if both of them have the same solar system size of 5 kilowatts, right, you can already see here that the factory in Adamawa will get 34 kilowatts hour per day, while the one in Port Harcourt will get 20.5 kilowatts hours per day. You can already see that. Now, what can we do or what should we do, right? If we want to get the 34 kilowatt hour per day we have in Adamawa in Port Harcourt, we have to increase the system size because the peak sun hours is an act of God. We really can't control that, right? We have to now increase the system size. That's why, again, just to remind us that the same factory, the same house, the same business, the same industry in Sokoto, and then in Enugu, the same everything, they will require different solutions just because of this one natural factor. Now, for me, what is the most important thing about today is how to choose the right solar partner. And I'll start off with this story. This is really what I wanted to focus on today, just this one slide, choosing the right solar partner. And so I had a meeting with a prospect, right? What we call a potential client. I had a meeting a couple of months ago. I think this was in August. Okay, so I went there to speak to them. It was a hospital. I went to speak to them about, adding solar to their business. They actually want to add solar to their energy mix. It's something they've been wanting to do for some time. So they engaged quite a number of solar vendors. And then I had the opportunity of having this meeting with them, right? So that's where we went. And based on the relationship, right, and how much, based on the relationship I have with the client, were able to be open with me and tell me, you know what, I've had conversation with a number of people, they've submitted different proposals for the similar capacity. Because remember, as you said in part one of the things you have to do to get it right is doing an energy audit. When it comes to solar hybrid solutions, large scale solutions, commercial solar, you cannot afford to just guess or do a guess. You cannot afford to guess or just estimate by head. You have to do a proper energy audit so you don't undersize, you don't oversize, and to make sure that you make the right investment. So they have people, they've done energy audits and they submitted, quite similar solutions, right, to them. And so based on that, we're just open. So you know what, I can tell you how much, these people have charged me. And there was one particular, so they were inclined to going with one vendor. And they said, you know what, it's fine. Let me just tell you what this person is offering me. And I'll be honest with you, even me, myself, that has been selling commercial solar for like 5 years now and works in the industry, I was shocked by how much this vendor had quoted for them for the size of the capacity that we're offering. For me, it felt sincerely too good to be true. So I went to do my own little digging about this solar vendor. Let me find out who this people or who this person is. And that was what has brought me to this now, how to choose the right solar partner. So when you decide to choose your solar, when you begin to engage vendors, engage people, you know the right things to look out for, the right questions to ask. Again, this is an investment. Before you invest your money, you need to be sure that you've understood the risk and you really assess your investment properly. So the first thing I would say is legitimacy and continuity. Yes, there's so many solar vendors coming up, but our advice, I will encourage to, when you're choosing the right solar partner, look for a company that is duly and properly registered, not just registered, but one that has continuity. What do I mean by continuity? You wouldn't want to go into partnership, especially with something like a large scale solar solution, with a business or with a person that maybe the next 2 years or 3 years, if something comes up, there's nobody you can run to, no one you can complain to, because it's just that one person. Maybe something could happen to that person, right? So I would advise, especially as business owners, you want to make that investment, look for legitimacy and continuity in business. Now, watch out for overselling and appearances. I did my own personal digging, right? And I engaged this vendor. I said I wanted to do a solar solution just for my own, because I wanted to know where are they getting their products from. Biko, if I can let me also sell, because that price, you take all my customers from me. But then in the course of the conversation, I noticed a lot of overselling. There were conversations about they're sending me pictures with them and expatriates, trying to convince me that no, this is good, that they've done this, they've done that. And I asked questions, so where have you done before? They could not really tell me. Another thing to watch out for is over-promising. I was hearing things like, they're going to get people from Dubai to come and do the installation. If there's maintenance problem, people will come from UAE and like in Nigeria, and then at no cost. So watch out for things like over-promising. Would they tell you, oh no, this system can never go bad? Just get it. Would they, the kind of there's certain kind of promises somebody will give you. 100% uptime, 100% uptime. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about anything. 100% uptime. Just things like that. Over promising. 100% savings from day one. You see 100% savings from day one. In fact, madam, you just do this solution today. You will get an 80% return on your investment. Or another one is, this is just an example now, not necessarily from that case study, but the system can be installed in 24 hours. I'm not 24 hours. It's possible, but then depending on the size, can be installed in 24 hours. There are certain things that when you hear, you just be like, Okay, all right. So you make you think twice, right? Another thing to watch out for is after sales support. Okay, again, because the kind of solution we're talking about, this is a massive investment, right? You want to be sure of after sales support, and this also ties into the legitimacy and continuity. In 3 years, or in 4 years, or in 5 years, or even after the solution has been installed today, maybe tomorrow something goes wrong and you call. Is there a guarantee of after sales support? Is there a number that you can always call? Do they promise call out responses? So check out for things like that after sales support, or is it one that they'll just install them, madam, don't call me. Oh. Once you just collect your money, piam, that's it, you'll go. Another thing to watch out for is technical competence and track record. I already mentioned that before. So what have you done before? Now, this is not to say that you can't have new businesses coming up, and they're trying to build their market. No. But, what is your track record? What have you done? Somebody that is bidding to do a 200 kilowatt solution, or that's bidding to do a 1 megawatt solution, you don't have track record of where you've done 50 or 30 or 20 or 200. Well, what is your technical competence? Oh, you're telling me, oh, don't worry, our guys are going to come from Saudi Arabia. Please run. Please run. Look for technical competence and track record. Another thing to look for is financial stability and credibility. Now, this may not apply to everyone. It depends. I know in part one, we took a little time to speak about the different business models now that we have in commercial solar, right? So if you have the money to buy outrightly, please feel free, buy outrightly. Just a one-off payment, that is good. But now most people really want to see, really want to treat solar as that investment. So there are different business models now. We have lease to own, and we have, energy as a service business models, right, in the market. So for example, you want to do a lease to own business model, you're not going to pay everything up front. You're going to enter a contract for 10 years or 7 years or 8 years or 9 years or 15 years or even 20 years. A 20 years energy as a service contract. You want to look at the financial stability of this business and credibility. Because if you're going to pay, for example, a percentage upfront, let it not be that in 3 years or 2 years, you will not, you can't even see your solar partner anymore. They are not able to continue the service that they're offering to you. They will start giving you stories of, oh, we're not able to do this, I'm not able to do. So you have to look out for financial stability and credibility. Another thing to watch out for is transparency in proposals, right? Transparency in proposals. So look out for things. When people submit proposals to you, I think this also ties into the over-promising. So look out for transparency in the proposals. Are there any things, any hidden lines or sentences that you don't understand? Do you understand? Are they open about the load analysis that they did? Are they open about the system design and performance estimates? Is that very clear how they did that? Are they things about warranty or maintenance schedule? Are they clear payment terms? Is it clearly stated whose responsibility is what? Like who has what responsibility, right? Another thing to look out for is compliance and safety standards. Okay, so when you see at this point, really and truly, you can ask questions here even before you sign the deal, right? For compliance and safety standards. Okay, so how do you guys do this? Do you have this certification, this ISO? What is your OHSC model in your business? And all of that. And a key way to get this is when they come for the audit or the assessment, you monitor what they do. They just see one wire, someone just come and just touch wire with their hand like that. You have to be careful. Now, for me, the final thing is partnership mindset. Do they speak with the partnership mindset? It's just a thing of, let's just do. Hey, just do it. Okay, we just do, because you can tell when someone has a partnership mindset. And if someone really wants to work with you and help you get to the goal at the end of the day, right? You can really tell if that partnership mindset is there. If they are saying things like, oh, we're with you, together in this. If there's transparency in their communications, they invite you to their office, you have a conversation, able to meet, the different people involved. They don't mind taking you to sites that they've done before. They're free. They tell you, what, you can go and speak to our existing clients and just see how the solution works to give you that comfort, right? So these are things. Now, following that, there's something I've just simply put up here called the solar partner checklist. Now, notice I'm using the word solar partner, especially for hybrid solutions that are large scale and long-term solutions. This is your solar partner checklist, right? you can feel free to, maybe if you think there are other things based on what we've learned today that needs to be added to this checklist, please do. I just wanted to make it, I wanted to make it very just very concise and something you can easily remember. So the first thing, registered company with physical presence. Physical presence is very important. It's very important. We can't emphasize that enough for continuity. Solid track record and certified engineers. Solid track record and certified engineers. Transparent proposal and clear warranty terms. Okay, so transparent proposal. So when the proposal comes, is it just like 3 pages? They just put things. Did they break down how they got to this? Why they're offering you this? Are they clear warranty terms? This inverter you're giving me, what's the warranty? They tell you, okay, we're not. There are things to watch out for, right? Again, proving financial stability, maintenance and after sales support plan, and then compliance with safety standards. Honestly, and this is a theme when it comes to solar hybrid solutions. Choosing right today will save you millions tomorrow. Okay, as a business owner, we're looking at the business impact of solar. As a business owner, choosing right today will save you millions tomorrow. And always, please remember that solar is an investment. It is an investment into your business for the future, right? It's a major investment, and you want to make sure that you get that investment right. You want to make sure that you get that investment right. And that's it for today, really. That's really what I had for today. Again, it's not, remember I mentioned, it's not a technical session, it's just to give you from that business perspective and to speak to you truly from my experience as a business development manager, the things that I have seen, the things that I would promise my clients, the things that I would advise anyone who's looking to, install solar in their business or wants solar to help reduce their energy costs, essentially. So yes, thank you so much, everyone. I hope I was clear enough. Apologies for maybe the interruptions, the phone ringing in the background, and everything. I had just some things beyond my control today, but thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chisom, for that detailed and practical presentation. I think one of the biggest takeaways today is that what you spoke about, solar not just being about the panels, but also being about partnership, performance, and planning. And you really reminded us to pay attention to details like the technical aspects like sun hours, also to vet solar partners for registration, technical capacity, and financial stability. I think there were so many learning points in the presentation, and we've really walked away from this with a lot of insights that will help us. I also love that closing reminder on your slide where you said that choosing right today saves you millions tomorrow. And that really sums it up so clearly that solar is an investment and doing it right from the start makes all the difference. So thank you so much. And we really enjoyed this session. Everyone, please drop your questions in the chat or raise up your hands if you would like to speak. Okay, Oyekachi Chukwu, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Chisom. This was an enlightening session. I really learned a lot. So I have a question. So in a situation whereby like hybrid users run on solar during the day, maybe you have an inverter and then you use it, the sun traps energy and then saves it in the inverter during the day. But then at night, you switch to the grid at night. And perhaps the grid experiences a sharp jump in demand, leading to maybe strain in the transformers or causes like voltage instability and also increases the risks of brownouts or maybe blackouts and all that. What would you like suggest should be the solution to this sudden switch? Because obviously if you like, one of the challenges that hybrid users normally face is that the sudden switch. Sorry, I'm kind of like rusty in this though, so you can just come in. But the sudden switch from using the electricity from the national grid to using the one generated from solar could actually strain the national grid. So how could you come in here to provide solution to this issue caused by hybrid system?
Okay, thank you, Onyekachi. I just want to be sure I understand your question, right? So you have a solar hybrid solution. During the day, you harness the power from the sun. It gives you direct power, or saves it in your battery. And then at night, you switch to your grid, or then you're now drawing power from your grid. Or, let me assume that in this case, there's no battery storage, right? So at night, you switch over to your grid, and then, well, the national grid is strained, and then there's a voltage instability, like you said. So now, is your question on how to address the voltage instability as it relates to providing power to the facility, or is it how it's going to affect the hybrid system? That's what I'm not really clear about.
Okay, my question is more on how it affects the grids actually, because I guess when they are designing the grids for a particular community, they have to check the energy usage in that particular community. So whereas let's say that 30% of the users of electricity in that community use solar, and maybe I'm not putting it out right, but let's say they've already determined the quantity of electricity that is supposed to be used in a particular community, and then in a situation whereby, like, maybe the electricity that is supposed to be used by the community is becomes more than what the grids can actually carry, as a result of maybe some of the community members already have like another means of generating electricity. So when they now like switch over to using the electricity for the grid, it becomes too much for the grid to handle, and leads to different challenges and all that.
Oh, right. I think I understand you now. However, I don't think, the grid not being able to handle that is as a result of the solution. I mean, the people opted to get the solution because the grid could not, provide enough power. Right. Now, the truth is, you really cannot control what people are going to put in their houses, or in the community, on their homes. Even take like the house that you live, for example, or Onyekachi. Like, maybe tomorrow you decide to get a microwave, or you have a deep freezer, you decide to get a 10 horsepower AC. The national grid cannot determine that you're going to have that in your house, right? Now, the ideal thing for them to do, really, like I mentioned, energy audit, is to have continuous assessments of the areas of the locations to be sure that the transformers that they have, it's sufficient to provide. But that may not always be the case. Please, I hope there is no grid official here. Let them not come and carry me. But that may not always be the case. Right? So, but to clarify, the solar hybrid solution can in no way affect the national grid, right? The reason why you get a hybrid power solution is because you want to augment or supplement your power. You don't have enough power. Okay, you don't have enough power. Now, the voltage of the grid going up and down is just as a function of the grid. Right now, I was probably thinking maybe your question would be, because the hybrid solution, because it's connected, hope that low voltage will not affect the solar aspects of the hybrid solution. Now, that's a different question entirely. And we've had that question come up. Oh, so what if the voltage drops, especially for a hybrid solar solution, right? And because they are synchronized, is there a connection between the voltage or the current I'm going to get from the grid? Hope it's not going to affect my inverter, or hope it's not going to affect my battery. Well, I mentioned this is not a technical session, but I'm going to say this from a technical point of view, right? The good thing is, with all these designs, you always have surge protection, right? You have surge protection. Even back, what we call, what's the word now? But I think the best way to describe it is backwash, right? You have surge protection. That's how the system is designed. So most oftentimes, the inverters are smart inverters, in the sense that when the voltage from another source, if it's going to pass through the inverter, right? The voltage from another source, if it's at a certain level, if it's too low, the inverters will automatically, the breakers will break. That sounds like tautology, but the breakers we essentially break, right, to prevent like that low voltage coming in and then disrupting, the mechanism of the inverters. So if that's the question, then you have like protection and source protection, built into your inverters or to your system in the design, in the combiner box, all those technical aspects, those things are catered for. Now, if it's a case of, hope that the national grid not being enough or maybe the load is not too much, I really don't think it's our fault. It's just a case of, the national grid, maybe poor estimation, and lack of continuous assessment, right? Because even with your solar solution, I'll mention this, even with your solar solution, as you expand, I think I mentioned this in part one as well. That's why I said think strategy and goal, right? So if you're a business person and you're getting solar today, for me as a BDM, one of the questions I will ask you is, oh, what are your plans for the next 5 years? Do you have plans of expansion? Because I want to know, is this something I should factor into my design now? You even have clients ask you, oh, so what happens if I suddenly want to expand my factory, or if I want to get another machine? We tell you that the beauty of the solar hybrid solutions are is scalable, right? So if naturally that's what should happen, continuous assessment, continuous audit. But we can't always promise that we'll get that from the grid. So the grid voltage going down or low is really not as a result of the solar hybrid solution. They just need to do better. Thank you. I don't know if that clarifies it.
Yes, it does actually. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your question
Olajide?
and the succinct answer. Olajide also had his hand up. Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Okay. So I just want to contribute to what Chisom said about the question. I think the way I understand the question is also talking about if suddenly you have been using solar in the daytime and then you didn't subscribe to the national grid and then you decide to join national grid in the night, when normally people have actually the disco, now every disco subscribe to a particular amount of power from TCN. Now, so somehow you may now affect what it's available, because now you are demanding more. The way this national grid work is that they try to balance between their demand, the demand of the people, and what is being produced. Anytime there is a challenge in the demand and the supply, there is a problem of frequency changing. So actually in countries like Nigeria, we may not feel the difference so much. We're actually feeling it. But in places like Europe, where they already have enough, and then people that are now using solar or using something suddenly bounce on the grid, they will have challenge, or suddenly stop using it, they will likely have challenge. So, but for us in Nigeria, it's simple, because there is the continuous monitoring of what is supplied to a particular state. Continuous. So once, and nobody's having up to 24 hours yet. So once there is a low in demand in a particular maybe village, they share the load to another set of people. So there is this continuous. I think they do some of the frequency balancing in Yoshua ahead. So there is this continuous monitoring of the demand and the supply. Once somebody is asking for more, then that's why you discover that if you have maybe you had 8 hours yesterday in your house, now they make you to have 6 hours, or you just suddenly discover that a particular community is having so much light. That means there is maybe one industry shut down and they are not requesting for electricity again. So they will shed it. So they keep doing that load shedding. So in Nigeria, it may not affect us much because there are people that don't have, they will shed it to them. But in a place where there is so much already, or there is less already, and you suddenly make that demand, you discover that other people will so maybe suffer for it. We have to reduce their own consumption for that too. Thank you. I just want to contribute a little.
And thank you so much, Alajide. That was exactly what I was aiming at. I'm so sorry that I couldn't communicate it very well. So thank you so much, Alajide.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you to our presenter for sharing our expertise with us today. Before we wrap up, I would like to encourage everyone to stay connected with ThinkyHearts. I'll be dropping our YouTube and LinkedIn pages in the chat for those who haven't yet followed us. We share regular informative content on sustainability, the circular economy, and renewable energy. And we really love for you to be a part of our growing community. The recording of this session will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and you will also find part 1 there if you missed it. And if you have questions, ideas, or you'd like to collaborate or share useful insights with us, you can also send us an email to info.thinkyhearts@gmail.com. So on behalf of ThinkyHearts team, thank you once again for joining, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, too.